Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. So today we are going to do something a little different. We are going to put out a hashtag called the Jazz Label Challenge. In this, we're going to showcase 4 records from 4 specific labels, Blue Note, Prestige, Impulse, and Riverside. And then the 5th one is going to be a record of your choice from any label you'd like. So this is something that we think will be fun. We encourage people to do the challenge, make a video and put it out. We did this as our first video. Chris from Tunes from the Man Cave puts out a jazz vinyl tag every year. So this was a way that we kind of got our feet wet and jumped into the vinyl community. So we encourage everyone to do that. Remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to Felipe to start us off.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Mike. Passing. It was a good idea. I think it was pretty cool. It was great because I found myself just going through my shelves and looking at stuff. Like, wow, did I have this? It's been so long I don't listen to this. Which one should I pick? And it was good. It was a good like Discogs kind of moment. So we're going to start by Blue Label, by Blue Note. Sorry. Blue Note has different eras, different times. This is a record that I really like. One of my first ones that I got. It's early 70s Japanese pressing. It's not a US pressing, but this record is really hard to find an original in a good shape or in general. That's 1560. That's Hank Mobley Sextet. Let's see. Well, here's the cover. One of my first monos, one of my first serious Blue Notes that I bought. When I bought, I actually thought it was like an original. Oh my gosh! But I didn't pay original price, so I'm cool with that. And I knew the seller. So that's the cover. Hank Mobley Sextet. There's one that's I think is coming soon as a Tom Poet. It was a classic.
Okay.
Has a very similar cover, but I think it's a quintet, not a sextet.
Who all plays on that one?
Yeah, so Donald Byrd, John Jenkins, Hank Mobley, Bobby Timmons, Wilbur Ware, and Philly Joe Jones. It's kind of respectable. He has nice. Sorry, it's going to defocus if I go too close, but he has session photos. It's impeccable. It's a great sound record. It's in mono. I think it's like a 1971, 72 Japanese pressing.
Japanese cover is different than the US cover, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And just a shout out, just to show a difference. Sorry. A Blue Label. Blue Labels do not pass on Blue Labels.
Yeah, do not sleep on.
They sound amazing. A lot of them are going to be Van Gelders, just like this one. I'm totally cool with that. I would never buy Music Matters or AP45 or whatever. Don't pass on Blue Labels.
Yeah. Now, Blue Labels are United Artists labels, right?
Yeah, from the 70s, they had some variations. Blue Label White B, Blue Label Black B, and there's a classic series issues from I think those Toothers, right? They're like a circle and says classic on the side. Yes.
Yeah.
This Hank Mobley is really good. I think it's about to come up, but not this one. I think it's quartet or quintet. It's not this specific one. So if you find 1560,
yeah,
1560. Yeah,
I've been listening to Wilbur Ware. I think does some work with Coltrane on Savoy, and I've been getting into him a little bit more. So it's cool that he's a sideman on that record.
I think he's been a lot on Riverside as well, if I'm not mistaken. I need to double check on that.
Yeah,
I picked a recent reissue for Blue Note, and it's Lonnie Smith, Ave Club Mozambique. So it's 2 LP from the 80 series. Yeah, it's a good record. It's like super soul jazz, funk, fusion from 1970. That's when it was recorded. It wasn't released until 1995, though. So they had this CD reissue campaign called Blue Note Rare Grooves.
Okay.
All soul jazz stuff. So that's when this came out for the first time. But it's super funky. I mean, it's got, it's funny. Let me make myself big real quick. So check this out. So when it talks about talks about who plays on it, it has like the abbreviations for their instruments, which always takes me like a second to decipher, you know? because I'm like, I don't know what that means. But anyway, so this one has Dave Hubbard on tenor sax. I'm not sure if he's related to Freddie Hubbard or not. No clue. Ronnie Kuber on bass, George Benson on guitar, great George Benson on guitar, Lonnie Smith on organ, Joe Dukes on drums, Gary Jones on congas, I guess, CGA, I guess that's conga, and then Mac on tambourine. So I feel like I could get a gig as a jazz tambourine player.
Don't underestimate that.
Huh?
That is a crucial
I
instrument.
got some rhythm, man. I think I could pull that one off. But anyway, yeah, it's a good one. It's Lonnie Smith. It's the '70s, super funky organ stuff. Have you heard this one, Felipe?
Oh yeah, I have it. I have this one. I have Think. I have the Tone Poets. I do like him. I mean, every time he's playing, it just is like really evident, transparent. As he's having a lot of fun and making us feel a lot of fun as well. I think that's a really good point. He's not too much. He's like perfect. He's a good MC.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
His recent stuff before he died is really good too. There was a Tone Poet. I think one of the Tone Poets was a more recent record of his, and then he had one that came out either right before he had passed last year or right after. That's really good, called Breathe. That was not a Tone Poet, just a regular release.
I think this guy here is a Tone Poet.
Yeah, that's the Tone Poet.
Oh,
yeah.
So for Blue Note, I have Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, A Night in Tunisia.
Oh, nice.
So this was recorded in 1960, and it was released in 1961. This is a mid-70s UA reissue. It's got Van Gelder and the Dead Wax. Sounds very good. This was recorded at Van Gelder's studio in Englewood. And the lineup is Art Blakey drums, Lee Morgan trumpet, Wayne Shorter tenor, Bobby Timmons piano, and Jamie Merritt bass. So this was released in 61 and it was recorded in 60. That'll be important for a record that I'm going to show later. But this record is awesome. Like A Night in Tunisia, that's what it starts off with. It's a fiery tune. Lee Morgan and Wayne Shorter are burning on it. And then it goes into Sincerely Diana, which is like a swing song. And honestly, the two styles of the first and second song, how you have like a fiery trumpet, sax, and then moving into like a swing style song, reminds me of Art Blakey's Moanin'. Like that's how that starts. It's like that 1-2 punch. Then it goes into a song called So Tired, where you can definitely feel some boogaloo going on. And this is, I think, 2 years before we see like Lee Morgan on the Sidewinder. So this might be like proto boogaloo or something, but definitely start feeling that. Then Yama is a beautiful ballad song. Then finally it ends with Kozo's Waltz, which it starts with like Blakey on a drum solo. It's like a classic sounding hard bop song. So, I mean, this album gives you a lot, and the lineup is incredible. Some of the most prolific and skilled players. So A Night in Tunisia is definitely a cool one, and I'll just show the label again without the outer sleeve. I feel like I really have always liked this cover.
It's a very nice cover.
Guys on the back here. And there is another Night in Tunisia with Art Blakey that I think came out like a year before on. Do you have it, Chris?
Yeah, it's on Vic. I don't know where it's at, but I do have it.
Yeah. So that is a totally different lineup and just same album title. But
a great record. I love that record. I've got one of the few Music Matters jazz records I have is that one.
Yeah.
I listen to that. I listen to that a lot.
I listened to these today for the video, and
it's amazing. Yes. Yeah.
Very good. So, all right, the next round we're going to show a prestige record.
This record I bought last week. I went to my local store here. There was like 6 or 7 or even more original prestiges, some new jazz, and I didn't know any of those except for I don't know. I think, and I just bought them blindly because I thought it was a good deal. So that's the 760s Prestige Blue Label.
Oh yeah, the Blue Trident, I think they call it.
Yeah, Blue Trident. And these records are rock solid. They're heavy. They're well pressed. They sound amazing. They're mostly RVGs. And this is a record that really, really surprised me. And I think it generated a lot of comments in the Facebook groups. Um, Morris Nenton, something we got. I'm not even sure if I showed this record earlier or this stuff is really good. It's Morris Nenton, Norman Weld, Edge, and Al Baldini. And they play so well. They play so well. I think it was his only prestige record, to be honest. He played a lot in gigs. He played a lot of clubs. I think New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, New York area, and very well known figure. I highly, highly recommend this record. It
Yeah.
is a 1965 release, first pressing. It's impeccable, immaculate shape. It plays like a tank. It's an amazing record.
What kind of music is it? I mean, I know it's jazz, obviously, but I mean, like, what, how would you describe the music on there?
It's still hard bop, but more bluesy. No, it doesn't get too funky, but it's very groovy. I found it to be very bluesy. They play very fast, but it's a nice, more soft moments as well. But they hit really hard. I think he had some problem in his hands when he was growing up, some defect. So he hits hard the keys. It's amazing.
That's
It's
cool.
really amazing.
Yeah.
And it's well recorded. He plays very fast. I love this record. I've been playing almost like every other day.
That's awesome, man. I love when you find something like that that's not really, well known, and then you like it.
Yeah, and it was good.
Do you prefer a side on it when you drop it on? When you play it straight through?
I like side B better.
Yeah.
Or side 2, yeah. Just like Night in Tunisia, I like side 2 much better than side 1.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just listen to the whole thing, though, Mike. Like, listen to the whole
Sometimes you don't have time.
I picked this one, which I think we all have. Eric Dolphy, Outward Bound, featuring Freddie Hubbard. So this was his first record he ever produced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably his most accessible. I mean, it's, Eric Dolphy's known for kind of getting out there, and he was, literally outward bound, I guess, but this is pretty straight ahead, like bebop sounding record, right?
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Eric Dolphy, though, you could definitely start here. You could do worse than starting with this record. You get some of the hints of where he's going, right? And then, things get a little wilder as you progress. But
what does he play? Does he play his classic bass clarinet?
Alto sax, bass clarinet, and flute.
Yeah,
it's like the trifecta of the Dolphy instruments.
Yeah.
And he's great on all of them. I love bass clarinet. Like, it's one of my favorite instruments. We need to have a bass clarinet episode one of these days. But so you got him on those instruments, Freddie Hubbard on trumpet, Jackie Bayard on piano, George Tucker on bass, and Roy Haynes on drums. Roy Haynes plays on every record, I swear. But this is the Prestige reissues that just came out, right? I guess this one came out 3 or 4 months ago, but great quality.
Who's playing drums, Chris, sorry?
Roy Haynes, I think.
Roy Haynes, yeah.
Okay.
The wonderful Roy Haynes. Another record to look at if you haven't yet is Out to Lunch on Blue Note. It's a little bit more out there, but it's so great. So good.
Yeah.
And
that should be probably pretty available. It's part of the classic series.
Yeah, that was part of the classic series. So, I think all three of us are big Dolphy fans, but we're not like super huge fans of some other people that are kind of way out there.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking to experiment beyond just the traditional, I think he's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was started listening to jazz mostly, I always saw Out to Lunch. I got to get it. And I was still like Hank Mobley, Basic Coltrane, Miles. I was like, what the is this,
Agreed.
Yeah. And then I shelved Out to Lunch for some time. This record turned me into Dolphin. Then I kind of could follow the sequence and go through.
Yeah, I had a similar approach. I got Out to Lunch first through the classic series. And it's not that I dismissed it, but I thought it was okay. I thought the title track kind of sounded like a song that you could put with like the original Ocean's 11, like walking through a casino, like with these vibes going on in the background. Mm-hmm. Just has that vibe. So I just never, took it too seriously. But then when I picked up the one you just showed, Chris, and then there was another one that was with Booker Little, Far Cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I got into it, and then I started collecting more of his stuff when it would come up. And then also he's on Sideman, I think, on one of the records I'm going to show too. So
Oh, he did a lot of side work.
like when I see him, like he's a major asset to any lineup. So
Absolutely, and he does. It's not always super out there either, right? Like his side
yeah.
work's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, if you're not into that kind of jazz, it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to get there. Like we talk about how we got there. Like I love Out to Lunch now. When I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is really weird. But now I love it. But if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't feel pressure to listen to stuff.
Just be proud of what you like and what you don't like.
Exactly. Like I like big band and no one else does. So,
I'm obsessed with Sinatra, early Columbia Sinatra, and nobody listens to that.
Exactly.
All right, so this is a Prestige label. It's a Bergenfield Deep Groove, RVG, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, what's cool on this is like RVG writes his initials in this rather than has like the character stamp. When you look at like when Joe Harley shows like the Coltrane tape box, that RVG that's written on there looks exactly like the RVG in this in the dead wax on this. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, let's get to the record. So this is Dig. This was recorded in 1951, and this sounds like it. So this was recorded at Apex Studio in New York City, and you can just tell the different recording. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what technology was used, what equipment was used, but compare this to like Van Gelder's home studio or something like that. You can definitely hear the difference. You can hear the sound of the space, very clearly. But yeah, no, it sounds like an older recording. So anyway, so this was recorded in 51. It was released on 2 10-inches, and then this Dig, this 12-inch LP, came out in 56. And it has Miles Davis on trumpet, Jackie McLean alto sax. This is the debut of Jackie McLean, so his first recording. Sonny Rollins on tenor. This is one of Sonny Rollins' earliest recordings. Walter Bishop Jr. on piano, Tom Potter double bass, and Art Blakey on drums. This was at a time when Miles was kind of moving away from cool, from like the late 40s cool stuff, from like Birth of the Cool, and he started experimenting with hard bop, and it really sounds like it. So Dig, the first song, is written by Jackie McLean. It struck me as something different than like the mid to late 50s Miles for sure. I mean, you could see that this is like early stuff that he's kind of working out, but he sounds awesome. I wrote that the music is beautiful. There's really nice soloing on it, and it's like great hard bop. So that first track is awesome. Then they go into It's Only a Paper Moon. This is a great song that I love. I mean, Sinatra sings it with Tommy Dorsey back in the day, and then he also re-recorded it for his Reprise label. So I know the song, and I always love when the jazz musicians do it because I like sing it in my head when I hear them solo. But yeah, so this Miles sounds awesome on this. Jackie sounds awesome on it. Denial's the next song. It's fast paced. Miles is burning. Jackie's burning. Bluesing or Bluing, I'm sorry, is the next song. This is like a slow swing. Miles is like this, like the rhythm section is like slow, and Miles is just like killing it, like just like elevated over it. Sounds awesome. And then finally, the last song, Out of the Blue. This is like he goes kind of back to like a regular hard bop sound. So swinging in the pocket, just hard bop. So yeah, that was my pick. Really happy to get it. All right, so now we are moving on to Impulse.
I have to say, I don't have that many Impulses like originals. I have a lot of the acoustic sound series, which are great. I have a lot of blue labels from the 70s. I thought about picking that Elvin Jones, but I decided to go on something different. I mean, people show this record all the time. This is an original. This is fairly cheap to find, and I think I don't know if you guys end up getting it. Healthy.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
This Sonny Rollins record is terrific. It has the original Impulse label, which I think is one of the most nicely crafted labels. I think Blue Note has simplicity, has everything, but this one has the details and it doesn't look too much. It's just great. It looks like across here, across this way. and the color combination is just. Speaking of labels, right? I think that's a main thing too. I think the whole concept has to do with the craft of it. So it's a original music, of course, is a score from the movie Alfie, not Alf. uh, there's a lot of Sonny Rollins here, but also an orchestra. Of course, Oliver Nelson's involved. So Kenny Burrell's playing guitar here as well. Phil Woods, J.J. Johnson, Jimmy Cleveland, Sonny Rollins, Frankie Dunlop on drums, Walter Booker bass. Yeah, and Kenny Burrell sounds really good here. I like the fact that it has this whole mixture, but it doesn't sound like a big band record. It sounds like a good score with a very good jazz. There's very top-notch Sonny Rollins in this record,
Yeah.
and it's not expensive to find an original. So and in good shape, easy to find. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it came out in 1966.
66, right?
Yeah. So that's really cool. I need a copy of that. I love Sonny Rollins. He's probably my one maybe favorite
Yeah,
tenor sax guy, but
yeah,
I've always heard really good things about that record.
yeah, and of course it's Michael Caine, right? Not
Yeah.
much to say.
Yeah.
He's really good, and I like his spines.
Of course. So my pick for Impulse is I Dropped By to Say Hello by Johnny Hartman. And this is a vocal jazz record from 1964. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with him from the album he did with Coltrane, which just came out recently on the Acoustic Sound series. This one is him singing, obviously. He's accompanied by Hank Jones on piano, Illinois Jacquet on tenor sax, Kenny Burrell, and Mike's favorite guitarist, Jim Hall. Milt Hinton on bass, and Elvin Jones.
Kenny Burrell and Jim Hall are on that?
Yeah, it's
Oh, right.
That's a great record. Yeah, this one's outstanding.
Oh, wow.
Typical
That's pretty cool.
Impulse gatefold. This is a reissue from Org Music, I believe, that I have. It's on 45. But yeah, so he's got a beautiful voice. If you haven't heard him, it's just a classic, beautiful voice. And then
What
the
songs
band
is
that's
he?
backing him up.
What are the songs?
In the Wee Small Hours is the first song.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Charade, Kiss and Run, Don't You Know I Care, Our Time, Sleep and Be, a bunch of others I don't really know. I'm not that familiar with them, but it's just a really good record.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I kind of overpaid for it. I think I paid $80 for this.
Damn.
I mean, and they're going for more than that right now. There's like the lowest one on Discogs is like 95, but they've sold for like $50 in the last 6 months. So you don't have to buy this version. Obviously, this should be a fairly available record. He did a bunch of stuff. I've got a couple of records of his that are from the 70s that are not really jazz or more, I guess, R&B or whatever.
My pressing is a green label. It sounds amazing.
You have this record?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
awesome.
green label.
So what do you think about this one compared to like the one with Coltrane? Which one do you like more?
Well, the other one has the Coltrane touch. Was my I ended up getting to know about Johnny Hartman from that record.
Okay.
When I bought the SACD. But this one grew on me. I like it. I think it maybe technically his singing is better.
Yes, that's what I was thinking too.
I'm excited to share this one. So when I was jumping into kind of the Impulse catalog to really kind of figure out, which records I really wanted, this was one of the first ones I came across. And, I looked it up on like Wikipedia and wherever, and it wasn't well reviewed at all. And I was really surprised because he has another one that is well reviewed that I don't like as much. But this is The Artistry of Freddie Hubbard. And first of all, the cover is amazing. I love that. And it has an awesome lineup. Let me break it down. So, all right. Artistry of Freddie Hubbard, recorded in 62, released in 63. It was recorded at Van Gelder Studio. It sounds incredible. The recording sounds incredible. So Freddie Hubbard's on trumpet, Curtis Fuller's on trombone, John Gilmore's on tenor, Tommy Flanagan's on piano, Art Davis is on bass, and Louis Hayes is on drums. So that is just a all-star lineup. They start with Caravan, which is a Duke Ellington tune. The first thing you're going to notice, because the drums come in on the hi-hats, and then there's like little like snare fills, and then everybody starts to come in, is how well recorded this thing is. It sounds awesome. And yeah, so Curtis Fuller takes the second solo, and then John Gilmore. So obviously Freddie Hubbard, then Curtis Fuller, then John Gilmore. And it pretty much is like that. I mean, in a different order throughout the record. So it's basically like intro, solos, bass solo, out, like type thing, a lot. So Caravan is a really good one. It's like I mentioned, the intro to it is awesome. Bob's Place, Happy Times, Summertime, it's a Gershwin tune, obviously, sounds really good. But this whole record sounds awesome, and I love like everybody gets their space to solo in it, and they all sound amazing. And there's enough variety of like tempo and style on this that you get like a really good, you get a really good selection of everybody's abilities for those types of songs. So yeah, this is the artistry of Freddie Hubbard. This one, here's the back, and then you got the gatefold in here. So you got some session photography.
Do you know if this one came before or after The Body and the Soul?
I think this came before, but I could be wrong. But yeah, because this was recorded, what did I say, in '62, and this is also A27, and
oh, it's very low, yes.
Yeah, and The Body and the Soul is A38. So in terms of sequence, this was released afterwards, and I would assume the recording's probably afterwards as well. And this is the one I mentioned earlier that I thought Eric Dolphy was a sideman on one of the records I selected. I think he's on this one, not that one. But,
okay.
But anyway, I'd have to double check all that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But yeah, so Freddie Hubbard on Impulse, he only put 2 records out. They're both very good. I prefer this one just because it's more fiery. And it's just, stylistically, I just kind of like it a little more. But yeah, it's on the black label, as I was just showing. This, the black label, it has Van Gelder stamp, all that kind of stuff. And this is actually fairly expensive. And I think this goes for like 80 plus.
Oh wow!
And I got this one on eBay for 50, which is still pretty expensive. But yeah, it's in very good shape. There was a little bit of on the side here, the gloss was peeling up, and so I kind of pulled that off. So there's that, but that's pretty much the only thing. The spine looks really nice, so really happy with this. Yeah, I enjoyed listening to it again today.
I have. Again, Green Label. You can go get them. They're going to sound good. Green Label.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a little cheaper.
Well, I think the Green Label, I have one in my cart for, I forget. It was either the Curtis Fuller or the Elvin Jones one. But I'm just like hesitant because, just because some people say they don't sound good, and it's just like I don't want to have to buy it again, if it's terrible. But honestly, I'm sure it'll be fine.
No, I'm sure they'll be great. I mean,
yeah. Actually, if anyone has experience with Impulse and the labels that's watching, and you have an opinion, let me know what you think about the black neon, the what is it? The green bullseye, the MCA blue with the rainbow, the black, and the regular orange wagon wheel one. Our next one that we're touching on is Riverside.
Riverside. Okay. I'm going to get a piano player, which has a pianist with a lot of release on Riverside. And it's not Bill Evans. This is an early, it's not an early pressing, it's a Japanese pressing, a black label. Nice reissue here. This sounds phenomenal. I think it's my favorite Riverside from the few that I have. Mulligan meets Monk.
oh nice.
I think there's an Analog Productions pressing of this one, right? On their series.
Yes, there is. I think it's all sold out, but yes, there's like a double 45, I think.
Yeah. You don't need to go much further. This Japanese is phenomenal. And Mulligan, Monk, Wilbur Ware, Shadow Wilson. And I was reading about them. Wilbur Ware and Shadow Wilson, they played a lot of sessions for Prestige, and they were actually earlier musicians from earlier era than Mulligan and Monk.
All right.
And it's great. I mean, it's Monk playing. It has Round Midnight, Sweet and Lovely, Rhythm and Ing, Decidedly, Straight No Chaser, I Mean You.
Nice.
It's a great one. Highly, highly recommended. Monadigan Spawn.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great great cover.
Yes,
I
it's
think the
beautiful.
original doesn't have the photo, so if you're looking for like first pressings, I think it's just black and white with the typography.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I like the photo. It was cool.
So I have a Riverside as well, obviously. This one is by Max Roach, and it's called Deeds Not Words. So
Nice.
this is a 1968 reissue of this record, which originally came out in, let me see, 1958. Yeah. And so it's actually Max Roach featuring Booker Little, which you can kind of see up. This is really fun. See up here. The original cover, I think a lot of people would recognize. So I mean, it's a pretty famous record of his. And you've got Max Roach on drums, Booker Little on trumpet, George Coleman on tenor sax, Ray
Nice.
Draper on tuba, and then
Oh.
Art Davis on bass.
I need to get that.
Do what?
That was Ray Draper on tuba?
Yeah, tuba, yeah. So I'm glad I read that lineup because it's jogging my memory now. He has a bunch of solos on this that are just amazing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Tuba solos. So I mean, it's a super hard bop record, typical from the time period. I'm sure you can get copies of this pretty cheap. This 68 ratio sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of interesting. We talk about reissues today, and we talk about like the blue label, Blue Notes, right, and the green impulses. Like all of these records have been reissued over and over again, right? I mean, maybe not all, but most, especially if they were popular at all. So, you don't have to shy away from buying most of these reissues from the 60s, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Up in the 80s, it starts getting interesting with digital and all that, but
that's cool. I have it pulled up on Discogs, and I'm probably gonna end up purchasing this later tonight.
Yeah, it's really good.
In fact, I don't have anything with tuba on it, so that like is really something I would like to get.
Yeah, our original video, that's the one question we all kind of ducked, was a tuba record, and I forgot I had this one, or that could have been my tuba.
Oh yeah.
It's not tuba lead, but I mean,
right,
he solos in it a lot. It's really cool.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, I'm checking that out for sure. Nice. And Booker Little's on that, which is pretty cool. I've been getting more into Booker Little.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the highlights from the Candid. Yeah, cool. And also, anybody watching, I put my pre-order in for that Booker Little Candid on Amazon, and it was like 25% off. So,
oh wow, nice.
I don't know if it's still like that, but if you're considering getting that, it might be the way to go for that one. This is like an offshoot label from Riverside. Notes. So a lot of you guys probably have this because it came out last year, but this is the Vinyl Me Please pressing. I actually signed up with Vinyl Me Please just to get this record. So this did a good job with this. All right, so this is take 12. This was recorded in 62 and released in 62. And if you guys remember, my first record that I showed was A Night in Tunisia. That was recorded in 60 and released in 61. In the interim between that session, I mean, there may have been other sessions, but Lee Morgan was kicked out of the Jazz Messengers. He was just basically he was basically a junkie and just couldn't get his act together. So Art Blakey kicked him out. I think his wife kicked him out of his house. They moved, I think, to Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or something like that. And they got kicked out of their family's house. So he was having a really hard time, basically just looking for money to score, and he sold his trumpet, so he didn't have his trumpet. And the rumor, what I was reading, because these Vinyl Me Please come with like a little booklet to give you some context, and they say that the local newspaper was saying that he was actually exploring going into the service to kind of, help with, like, kick his drug addict and his drug habit and, find something positive to do. So before that occurred, Jazzline reached out and asked him to do 2 records. This is the only one I'm aware of. I guess there is a second one because he did sign a contract for 2. And he went into the studio, and I believe preparing for this, he started to get clean. So this was kind of the beginning of that. And how they kind of describe it in the liner notes that come with this is that this basically was a second chance, and he didn't want to lose that opportunity. So, with that all said, let's get into some of the details here. So, this was, like I mentioned, Vinyl Me Please. This was the classic record of the month, released in September 2021. On this, check out this lineup. It's Lee Morgan trumpet, obviously. Clifford Jordan on tenor, which I think the three of us have been getting into Clifford Jordan recently more. So that's cool. Bobby Harris piano, Bob Cranshaw bass, and Lewis Hayes on drums. So a very nice quintet. And yeah, so I gave some of the background, but this is a cool album. There's a lot of good songs on it. There's really nice soloing between Morgan and Clifford Jordan. They do a really great job, and I think he actually had to borrow a trumpet for this session since he sold his.
Oh wow, yeah.
But it's a really good session. I enjoyed a lot. I think a lot of people said they were a little underwhelmed by it. I don't really get that. I've listened to it a few times, listened to it again today, and I just think him and Clifford Jordan like tear it up. So maybe it's like considered a blowing session. So if you're not into that, maybe that's not your thing. But I am into that, so I really like it. I don't know. The cover he looks pretty intense on, but yeah. So that's the cover. They did like a nice stout and tip-on jacket. It's all like AAA reissued and all that stuff. There's the background with some session photos. Him and Cliff, and who's on piano? Bobby Harris. Looking at some of the charts there. So yeah, it's a cool one. Really nice to have. And I've seen like the originals on Discogs come up, and it's not that expensive. You can get an original pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much this pressing goes for, but I'm sure that original sounds very good. So definitely one to check out.
Yeah, I like that record quite a bit. I need to listen to
This is stereo, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Stereo. That's stereo, right?
Yeah, it's got the stereo band at the top there.
Yeah.
So now a fifth label. It's hard not to go for something obvious. I didn't want to go too far out there. I got two. One as a label because I really dig. People mention this label. First thing you're gonna think is Ahmad Jamal. So it's Argo, of course. There's a bunch of stuff on Argo. I can get it right.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I love the Argo label.
Me too.
Right? Is that Deep Groove as well? It looks like it is.
Groove. That's the first pressing, and of course the record. I think you guys know which one it is.
Oh,
Farmer.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, this cover is beautiful. It's a nice painting style thing. Argo 678. This I think is a 1961 recorder with Art Farmer, Tommy Flanagan piano, Tommy Williams bass, and Albert Heath drums. Cover painted by Ernest Fine. And it's a great record. I mean,
Yeah.
It's maybe his best. Some consider it to be his best. And he personally chose here to go lesser known ballads.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the songs are So Beats My Heart for You, Goodbye Old Girl, Who Cares, Gershwin, Out of the Past, Benny Golson, Younger Than Springtime, another Irving Berlin, The Best Thing for You Is Me, I'm a Fool to Want You, Sinatra, right?
Yeah.
And That Old Devil Called Love. So it's a beautiful record, nicely played, a lot of soul and tone. Tommy Flanagan is beautiful on piano here as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's this record belongs in any jazz collection.
Yeah.
And let's say a fun fact. You talked about Hubbard earlier. Art Farmer actually had an identical twin brother.
Oh wow!
Oh, right.
Yeah, I forgot the name. Yeah, I forgot the name, but he actually had an identical twin brother.
Oh wow!
And after this record, he went more exploring the flugelhorn and those other instruments that he used to play, more than the trumpet.
Yeah.
So I have that record, but the Cadet reissue of it. So I'm going to slow walk this because I want to reveal something. So this is the Cadet label. The pressing probably, I don't know like how it matches against it because I don't have that to compare it against, but I think it sounds nice. I think, it's relatively quiet. I got this sealed for $15. The back of it here has the Argo still, even though they were shifting to Cadet. So I guess they were still using some of the backings.
I think it's
But now we're going to see the biggest crime of the century here. They took that beautiful cover, and this is what they did to it.
Oh, no.
So pretty rough, but the music's there, and that's most important thing. But it's such a shame because that cover is so beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why they chose to do that, but yeah. But yeah, if you do want a copy of that, you can get this Cadet reissue. And for so Argo basically had to change their name for legal purposes. I guess there was another Argo.
Yeah, there was an Argo in London.
So so that's why they changed to Cadet. So it's the same label. It's still them, but
I think they forgot the picture in the developer for too long.
Something, man.
Well, there's another Argo I want. It's Max Roach Quintet. It's called Max, and that has a really cool cover too. And there's another like Cadet reissue, and it's the same black.
Are you serious?
Right. Yeah, so they did that to a few of them, and I'm like refusing to buy that one because I really love the cover art for these old Argos.
Nice.
And it's such a shame that they completely black them out.
So my fifth one is on a label called Unique, and this is Norma Douglas was her name. This is the only record she ever put out. It's called The Dynamic Miss Douglas. Mm-hmm. So, and the cover is just amazing, right?
Yeah,
that cover is just really cool. This was in that collection I bought that I've talked about a couple of times. Let me show you all the label here too.
That's nice.
Cool.
It's a very unique label, Chris. I like it.
Very unique, yeah, exactly.
Is that heavy?
Not super heavy. I mean, it's deep groove and all that. It's from 1956, but it's it's not really flexible either, right? Like some of the older records, when you hold them, they don't really flex that much. So anyway, Norma Douglas, she was a kind of just like child talent, I guess. She started playing piano when she was 4, and after her parents got her lessons, after the 10th lesson, the lady called them and said, I can't do anything else with her. Like she had already surpassed all this stuff that first teacher could teach her, so she got a new one. And then she went to Performing Arts High School and had a TV show back in the early 50s for a couple of years, like as a 15-minute TV show, and then went to college and did Broadway plays. She did a skit comedy show with a guy in the 60s. I mean, she just kind of did everything.
Yeah.
And this record's great. Her singing is amazing. Her piano playing is a really cool style. I would say the music on it is more kind of traditional, like some swing stuff, a lot of bebop sounding stuff,
Yeah.
It's a neat record.
I'll jump in with my U pick, and this is a recent record that I got, so this was kind of just top of mind, and it's my first from this label. This is ECM. So this is Conference of the Birds. This was recorded in 72, released in 73. As I mentioned, this is the ECM label, and they recorded in the Allegro studio in New York City for this one. So here, it's the Dave Holland Quartet, and Dave Holland plays acoustic bass on this. Sam Rivers plays reeds and flute. Anthony Braxton plays reeds and flute. And then Barry Ashel plays percussion and marimba. And yeah, I mean, you have Sam Rivers on this, so familiar with him from Blue Note. This is all acoustic. They basically improvise on each track. There are moments where they come together and play in unison, just out of nowhere, or probably not out of nowhere to them, but as a listener, it just is really cool for them to kind of come and play together, and then they kind of go back out. The record, I kind of describe it as, this just sounds like really fun. Like it sounds like it's a jam session. They're playing. There's plenty of open space. Nobody's playing over each other. The instruments are well defined, and it's not in terms of like free avant-garde jazz. Again, this is not accessible, but it's also not like shrieky, shrill, really at all. There's a little bit on the end of the last track, but honestly, it's not much. It's really just people improvising and kind of like playing around, exploring. Like I mentioned, it has like a fun vibe to it. I feel like so. I think it's cool. Again, it's free, so if you're not into that, you're probably not going to like this. But if you are interested, or you're into free jazz, you probably know this record. But if you are, looking to explore free jazz, I think this would be a good first record to jump into. You'll jump in like completely with this one. But again, it's not too harsh sounding. There's a lot of really fun elements. Like their percussion is really cool. They have all different types of sounds being like it's just really kind of fun. The reeds sound really cool when they come in. It's an interesting listen, and it kind of doesn't ever really slow down. Not in terms of tempo, but in terms of just like creativity and somebody doing something new. So I really enjoy this one. I've spun it twice since I got it. I streamed it a couple times before I bought it. It's not particularly expensive. I think I got this for $35. It's like VG Plus, so really happy with that. Again, it's my first ECM. This came with a cool inner sleeve. So this like emerald green is like the ECM color. It seems like they have some other records there. And I'll just show the label. I do like this label. It's got a cool emerald green ECM label. I did notice that like the spindle hole is like the widest spindle hole I have. So I had to like place it center and put my record weight on it just to make sure it didn't move around.
No,
I don't know.
You better get a centering tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations, Felipe?
How much are you willing to spend? What's your cap?
5,000 pounds sterling.
Yeah.
Tax included. Tax included.
Yeah. So yes. So this is it. These two dots here are stickers. I don't know if they're actually part of the cover or if somebody just put those on for like,
Is it a double? Sometimes the pricing of the store. Some store they would put tags with colors for the pricing.
And I guess ECM was part of the Polydor label there because they do have the Polydor logo. Now in the back they have like some, they have the musicians and some symbolism or symbols there. Looks like Egyptian maybe or something like that. So
I think it's Greek letters, right? No.
Is that no? I don't think that's Greek.
I don't think so.
But yeah, when I saw that, it kind of reminded me of that one Led Zeppelin record where they play around with symbols. But anyway, highly recommend it. Check it out. Check out every song on here. I think there's 5 tracks or 6 tracks, and they're all different but very cool. I really like Q&A. The last song, Seesaw, is really cool. It seemed like the most popular song on here is the title track, Conference of the Birds. So that one's a little slower and more beautiful, honestly. It's got like a whole different vibe, but the other ones are definitely more of like the free jazz, like let's play around and go where everything where I'm feeling takes me. So that's this one here, David Holland Quintet, Conference of the Birds. That rounds out our challenge. So this is the Jazz Label Challenge. We're gonna make a hashtag. So for anyone who does it, please include the hashtag so we can find it and check you guys out. It will be fun. And yeah, so just to go over what we did, we had a Blue Note, Prestige. So the challenge is to show 1 Blue Note, 1 Prestige, 1 Impulse, 1 Riverside, and then you could pick a 5th one. And remember, like subsidies of these labels, like I showed a Jazzland for Riverside, etc. So you can also explore those as well. But yeah, we just thought this was a fun thing to do, a fun way to explore some of our favorite catalogs, and then show some records that we love.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say is if you don't have one of those 4 labels, just pick something else.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Thank you.